What up, though, people? Thank you guys for choosing to kick off this victory show with the Woo crew. It's Wake Up Woodward. We appreciate you guys, man. Hey, chat family, as always, you guys are the most important part of the Woo crew production. So go ahead and smash that like button. A 28-point victory, man, for those Detroit Pistons on the road versus the lowly Jazz. But it's been the theme of these Pistons. They just handle business. They beat the teams that they're supposed to. It's your boy Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, your credentialed Pistons reporter and writer for the network. Flannel Sam, the vet of the squad, the vet of the network, Red Wings correspondent, ball knower, all sports knower, just in general. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. We're gonna go heavy Pistons to start off with, but we're also definitely gonna tee some LB later because a former Detroit Lion just coming off of a Super Bowl victory just got released. I know there's been a lot of chatter among that. There's been some rumors, new ones heating up about Lions and Mr. Myles Garrett, and also what does the Eagles releasing Darius Slay mean? Whoops, I just gave away who it was. You already knew that anyway, but yeah, lots of Lions, but lots of Pistons to start the show with.
Lots of Pistons to start the show with. And you know what, man? Just looking at the standings, they are a half game behind both the Pacers and the Bucks right now. And you know what? They are 5 games ahead of the next closest team behind them, which is the Miami Heat. All of those team dysfunctions on there, they're all there. The Heat, the Magic, the Hawks, the Bulls, and I see you all the way down there at the bottom, Philadelphia 76ers. But these Detroit Pistons, they're trending in a direction that even some of the most ardent slappies did not foresee, and they do have a sure shot at that number 4 seed. They take out the Utah Jazz 134-106, and everybody's wondering, man, what's up with Cade? Well, you know what? Cade scored tonight a little bit more. 29 points, 9 assists for Cade, 12 of 24 from the floor. And Jalen Duren, man, he just continues to be somebody who just stretches the bounds of what I believe is even possible for him. Now, all of a sudden, when they go back to Dwayne Casey saying on draft night, Sean Kemp, now the flashes, the images of Jalen Duren, dribble drive from the three-point line, and dunking on somebody in like 3 dribbles was like, okay, this is insane. He even split a little bit of a soft double team. And this is what this Pistons team is about right now. They are believing in themselves. It's evident that they've put in the work despite all of the dysfunction over the years, and how they're capitalizing with a coach like J.B. Bickerstaff, getting them in the right position to succeed, man.
Hey, and before I talk about the Pistons as well, we got an interesting super chat from I Am Really Devin Booker. So thank you, Devin Booker, for tapping into Wake Up Woodward.
Come home.
Hey, guys, love Woo Crew. I'm coming to Detroit to dunk on KG for firing up Kool-Aid. Hey, come to the Pistons and then come to our studio, Devin Booker. I would not mind that at all. But yeah, last night, you know what I'm never going to take for granted? I'm never going to take for granted 28-point road victories, especially on the West Coast. I don't care if it's against the Jazz. It doesn't matter. And I'm also never going to take for granted a stat line for Cade in which he puts up 29 points and 9 assists on 50% shooting. That's some elite stuff right there. And I just love, too, and we keep seeing it, the Pistons basically treated the Jazz like the JV team. The Pistons were a team that last year was the worst team in the entire NBA. And I know that we don't need to belabor the turnaround point too much, but I just can't help myself. It was business as usual beating a West Coast team on the road by 28 points last night. We used to dream about times like these.
Hold on. And we have to take it a step further. It wasn't just business as usual because we've been here. We've been there. Yeah. But we've done this before. We say, oh, they should beat this team, and it doesn't happen. What was different last night was that even before the game started, how many people even cared about this game on the schedule? We all saw it. It pops up in our alerts. And you know why? It was just kind of like, they're supposed to beat this team. They're going to beat this team. And everything that we saw, it was proof positive of what we all know about this Detroit Pistons team this year. And that, to me, is what's so different about them, man. It's not just handling business. It's the fact that more times than not, you can go with these types of teams and take that to the bank. Yeah, they're just going to win. Probably not going to get that good of odds right now because of where the Detroit Pistons are trending. But they're going up. And it's amazing because the NBA.com put out their power rankings, had them 13th, and had the Pacers in the top 10. And since then, all that's happened is that gap has closed in between them. Why? Because the Pistons are concerned about what's going on the court. And they are trying to bludgeon everybody one of the things that cracked me up, bro, was after the Nets win, Ron Holland posted something online that just cracked me up. I'm going to get that to JB by the end of the show, but it just shows what their mentality is. And it was like the Bulls, like in the 80s, the Bulls had Jordan, this team had Magic. The Pistons, I just beat the out of somebody. And that's what you see. From a physical standpoint, if you are not ready, you're going to get blitzed by them. The Denver Nuggets, they were talking pregame. Mike Malone was talking pregame about, we know about this team. We know about their fabric. This is a compliment that they were ready. They came game planned for it, and they played everything through Jokic, and he literally had all the stats, like a 2K stat line. So it's cool to see this team stepping into the recipes that's made former Pistons teams so successful, and it's that physicality, that hustle, that defense, and honestly on offense, the mindset of sharing the ball. Cade's not worried if he gets 9 shot attempts or if he gets 20. You know who that reminds me of? Chauncey Billups.
Hey, but Cade is going to be better than Chauncey Billups. I mean, he already is at this point, I think, better than Chauncey Billups ever was. But you got to give Chauncey the credit for the championship and the Finals MVP and whatnot. But we all know that Cade Cunningham is a different animal, and we saw it last night. And what I love, I'll just start quickly with Cade, is that we look at this game. It was dominated when it comes to the Pistons in terms of stocks, in terms of fast break points. It wasn't even close. The Pistons just blitzkrieged them. But still, I've said it before, and I've said it, and I'll say it again. You can't live off of fast break points. You can't live off of transition. And it's Cade Cunningham that runs the offense in the half court and continues to create good looks for himself and others. And last night, when you look at his assists, he got 3 easy finishes for Asar Thompson, including 2 dunks, 2 Paul Reed dunks, a Beasley 3, a Duren dunk, and 2 Tim Hardaway Jr. easy buckets. And those weren't all in transition. A lot of those were in the half court, coming off of Utah Jazz made shots. So it's Cade Cunningham who is generating so much offense on a night in, night out basis. And a lot of it is in the half court, which is more difficult to score in, as we already know. Last night, Cade Cunningham generated through points or assists 48 points on 24 shots. You love to see it. Those are some MVP type numbers. And Cade Cunningham, after a couple of, one was a bad game and the other one was not a bad game, but his stat line certainly didn't look as great as it usually does. This was back to a normal Cade Cunningham stat line, 29 points, 9 assists. And, oh, by the way, 4 steals.
4 steals.
Speaking of defense.
You know what? And that's really becoming this team's calling card, and it's what they continue to say. And let's put this win in perspective, too. Not only did they handle business, we know that Jaden Ivey is out. And luckily he is out of his walking boot, so he does have a chance to rehab and potentially get back for a playoff push. But Tobias Harris and Isaiah Stewart were also out in that game last night. So when we talk about the physicality in the defense, we see now that by osmosis, this team is starting to grow. That was a really good win, led by your star on a night when you were going to need it, missing one of your vets, and then your longest tenured Piston, and the best rim protector on the team, even though Jalen Duren is looking like, as of late, he wants to challenge that. But Isaiah Stewart is your best rim protector out. That last night was one of those character wins. It wasn't just kind of a basic, they just went in and did their thing. No, they went in there, they had some challenges, and even Somali Fontecchio. So with those 2 guys out, you needed some people to come in and step up. And when you just look at the bench scoring, it was completely efficient. So only Somali Fontecchio scored 10 points, or over 10 points, but everybody else, it was either like 100 from the field or missed maybe just a couple shots from the field, other than, I think, Dennis Schroeder. But all of them put up some pretty good stats across the board. And it's what you want to see, is showing depth. And when you talk about the types of runs that we want to see this team get on to try and secure the 51 wins that KG has put on them.
Yes, sir.
This is what you're going to have to see. These are the games you're going to have to win. Just like they came away with the Boston one. This was one, too, that last year and the year before. And honestly, we can go back decades. They would have lost because Utah has kicked our tail for so long. I take every single one of these Utah Jazz victories so sweetly. They have gone on some of the most insane freaking winning streaks against us, and I don't even know why. It's making me pissed off right now. I hate John Stockton. All right.
but to piggyback off of that, that's why you don't take these wins over the Jazz lightly. I understand that the Jazz, they're tanking right now. They're future is very uncertain unless if they luck out and get a Cooper Flagg or somebody like that. And even then, you never know with rookies. I compare that in a way, although it's not the most linear comparison, to what the Pistons have done during this stretch of great basketball to the Chicago Bulls. Beat them 3 times. How many times have the Bulls, even in the last few years when they weren't a real threat but just a fringe playoff team, just came into LCA or we went into the United Center and would just take beatings from the Bulls, have a Kobe White go off or Vucevic or Levine or whoever. And the Pistons, they're just treating these teams like fodder, basically. It's like, okay, we're just going to kick your ass. And this is the Pistons.
Let me tell you. Let me read these stats. Since February 1st, all right? I'm going to read these Detroit ranks for you. They're 4th in offensive rating. They are 3rd in defensive rating. They are 1st in fewest opponent rebounds allowed. University of Michigan. 2nd in field goal percentage. Think about that. 1st in points in the paint. 2nd in fewest opponent points in the paint. 2nd in fewest opponent points in the paint. And they are 1st in points in the paint. 3rd in steals and 1st in fast break points. Like, this team is a real team. And they're special right now. And everybody is stepping up right now. When you look at all of the players that we would consider to be role players, that's why I took a step back and I said, Asar and Jalen Duren are starting to really track and trend towards those all-star type projections that a lot of fans said that they could reach based on their physicality, based on their IQ, based on their versatility, based on their two-way ability. And now you're seeing the effect that it has, that you could be missing Jaden Ivey, Tobias, Isaiah Stewart, and your team is still churning like a hot knife through butter, man. And I don't know what JB Bickerstaff is doing beyond just the X's and O's and getting these guys in the right positions to keep them motivated, but these guys really believe, and they act and they operate and they sound like a team that's been there and done that before. Not just the vets, but when you hear the younger guys talk, they all have a certain more mature disposition about them, and they have it up here mentally that they know what to do, and they're going out there and they're actually doing it. You don't see infighting with these guys. You don't see these guys like getting pissed off on the bench or catching pitchers or scenes of them. No, if they're fighting, it's together. They'll literally go and bark at somebody else and earn a technical. And that, to me, when you talk about all these other teams below them that are dysfunctional, when you look at how functional the Pistons are, man, I'm telling you, watch out. You do not want to catch these Pistons in the playoffs.
No, you do not. Especially if you're the Indiana Pacers, you don't want to play the Detroit Pistons, but I think that that's probably how it's going to shape out. But hey, even if you're the New York Knicks, honestly, if you're the Knicks, you probably don't want to play the Pacers or the Pistons, but still, I mean.
I see how it's going to work out. I see the NBA's script writers. It's going to be Pistons-Pacers.
That would be and the Pistons have every right to believe that they're going to get home court. If they're a half game behind, they get home court. Imagine a game 1 in a playoff series at LCA. Just imagine that right now.
I can't. I was talking about this with some of the other guys in media. I was talking about this with some of the fans. I was talking about this with season ticket holders. And that's literally what they say. I can't even imagine it. Because these games have been so hyped. But we do know that there's another level, but they've already been so much more loud than things we've experienced over the last 4 or 5 years at Little Caesars Arena. And you know what? They get into these playoffs, and they do get a Jaden Ivey back that's healthy. I'm telling you, it's going to be a problem. This team is playing for each other. Absolutely. This isn't a situation where it's like, well, is it going to fit or is it not? All of these players are stepping into the roles that they need. And remember when Carlton Davis said that Dan Campbell will go and call you out and big you up for the stuff that don't get in the stat sheets, for the things that don't? He was like, man, dog, they love Amon Ra. He'll go in there whether he getting the catch or not, and he'll block his tail off like a mofo. Mm-hmm. And Dan Campbell went to the locker room and was like, yeah, look at that. Like, Dan Campbell came in one day and said, man, bro, I see you out there. You had a good game. But that's what I see out of what we're seeing with JB Bickerstaff and this Detroit Pistons team right now, man, overall. And I do believe that he's allowing this team and helping this team from a motivational standpoint to reach another level. And I don't believe they want to let us down as fans. They don't want to let him down either. and they find themselves just a half game outside of fourth.
Yep, more Pistons talk when we get back because I want to get KG involved in this
sir.
because I want to check in on his revised 51 win
51
prediction.
win.
And
Looking
one of the best ways
good.
to do that is
Looking
to
good.
win a West Coast game on the road by 28, no matter who it is. But first, I got to tell you about Planet Fitness because it is where your fitness is essential. They got 50-plus Metro Detroit locations.